Failing over and over again is not something that stops you from getting there. Failing is how you get there. You don't get there without trying something new. You don't get there without doing your best and then realizing it's not enough, or you can't go any further than you've already given your maximum effort at. And you have to understand that failing is never the end. Failing is always, it's just a form of resistance that's sent there to see if we actually want something. It's put there to test you to see, okay, are you willing to optimize? Are you willing to change what you're doing in order to get the win? Are you able to get out of your own way so that you can progress? And failing is not, it's not the end. We always think it's the end. We always think as soon as we fail, that's it. We failed. We can't do it again. We can't go any further. But failing is literally how you get there. You get there by failing again and again and again. And I'm speaking about this from experience. In my lifetime, I failed countless times, countless more times than I've ever won. Winning in the sense of where I believed I was being successful at something, or I did something well, or I progressed in a sense. And that's not to say like every time I failed, I didn't progress. Every time I failed, I progressed even more. However, failing is just something that's naturally part of growth. It's something that you have to go through in order to succeed, because, people always think like life is this big thing that you need to be successful in everything. You have to be doing everything perfectly. You have to consistently keep moving forward. You have to keep progressing. You have to keep doing everything well. Everything has to be going well, but that's almost never the case if you're trying to do anything significant, anything out of your comfort zone, anything you're not amazingly good at, which is something different, which is expanding yourself. Anything that you're doing like that, you just increase the chance of failure. You increase the chance of not being successful, not succeeding. But that is all part of progress. Progress is in the failure. Progress is in falling behind. Progress is in realizing that you're giving your effort and it's not enough. It's in realizing that you have a strategy, but that strategy is wrong. You need to change the strategy in order to get the outcome that you want. And those that are not willing to do this, or those that are incapable of doing this, they have an ego problem. They can't get out of their own way. And I love this quote that I heard the other day: pride is poverty. Because that's almost every single person that is in poverty. And I'm not talking about a financial sense, poverty of thoughts, poverty of they're constantly in scarcity. They're constantly feeling like there's not enough. They're not smart enough. They don't have enough this. Life's not going in the right direction. Almost all of them have a very, very deep pride that they hold on to. A lot of them. Maybe not all of them, but most of them. They have this intense pride that they don't realize they're holding on to. And they don't realize that they are creating this horrible sort of world that they're living in. They're creating all the troubles. They're creating this stress out of all the failures that are happening to them. And just because they're not living in success, they're not doing amazingly, or at least they don't feel like they're doing amazingly. And if they don't feel like they're progressing or doing this, they just feel like they're stuck and they just feel like they can't move. Whereas they don't realize that there is success in the failures. There is progress in the failures. It's just that they have to get out of their own way, or they have to accept that you have to feel a bit of pain when it comes to failure. You have to feel the embarrassment, maybe not in front of other people, but you have to feel the embarrassment to yourself when you have a strategy and you're trying your best to go with this strategy that you have for, whether that's making money, whether that's talking to people, socializing, anything you're trying to do that you're trying to get success in, whatever strategy you're using. If you have to get corrected, sometimes that can feel very embarrassing. Sometimes it can make us feel like, damn, I tried so hard this one method, but I can't go to another method because I've put so much effort into this current method that I'm using. You know what? Forget it. I'm not going to change it all. And this is typically what happens a lot of the time, which keeps people that have a lot of pride in this poverty mindset, in this scarcity mindset, in this mindset where they never feel like they're moving forward. They never ever feel like they can do anything other than this one method that they've tried to perfect and made perfect. And if they can't do that, they're not even going to try. They're not going to optimize. And it does take a lot of vulnerability. It does take a lot of courage to say to yourself, I was wrong. it takes a lot more bravery to say, no, I'm always going to be right. I'm always going to be right. And I'm always going to show everyone that I'm going to be right every single time. It takes a lot more bravery to say, look, I don't know what's happening, but I'm willing to adapt. I'm willing to optimize. I'm willing to change strategy. I'm willing to change position in order to get the outcome that I want. And I'm not going to attach my ego, my pride onto only one method of doing something. I'm going to adapt and I'm going to keep optimizing. And this is typically what leads to a lot of success, is when you start doing something, you have no idea whether the strategy that you've chosen is going to lead to a successful outcome. And so you have to be willing to change and optimize along the way. I said this in a few videos before. Do not be afraid to take messy action, because that's the only place you'll start. If you start and you feel like you have to be perfect, or if you try to be perfect first and then you start, you're almost always going to try and find the perfect scenario, the perfect surge of motivation, the perfect circumstances, the perfect situation, the perfect group of people that are motivating you in that moment. But what happens is when you lose this, when you lose that motivation, when you lose that surge of motivation, when you lose that support group around you, then what happens? Then ultimately you realize that when you started trying to do it perfectly, it was never to do it. It was just to feed your ego. You had to start perfectly to feed something in your ego, something in the pride that you have of having to do things perfectly, that you forgot to realize that actually I should have just started. I should have started ages ago. I should have started 5 years ago. I should have started a month ago. Whenever you thought about it, you should have started then and then optimized along the way, because that's really the only way you're ever going to achieve anything significant. For the last 10 years of my life, I've been doing indoor cycling, and it's been a real crazy career. I couldn't explain to you the amount of times that I felt like I just don't want to do this job anymore. I hate it. It's so energy draining. You're constantly exhausted. You have no energy to go out to see people. You're constantly giving energy to other people and you don't always receive it back. It's a fun job. It's an awesome job, but sometimes it can get a little stagnant and you don't feel like you're going anywhere with it. And then when you take a break for a little bit, you realize you can go right back to it. And so in these 10 years of doing this really, really fun job, the amount of times that I realized I never started perfectly at all. I mean, I feel like I've achieved a certain level where, after 10 years of doing it, I feel very comfortable doing it. It's very easy. It flows out of me. I can go into a flow state when doing the classes with very little preparation, just free flowing and just sharing energy with other people. But then I realized when I started, it was not perfect. I did not start perfectly. I started riding really, really slow, like a very novice level instructor, very, very, very slowly. Then over time, you got used to one method, one way of doing things. You preferred to do a lot of different movements. You preferred to do a lot of climbs. You preferred to do a lot of upper body movements on the bike. And then you realize that, other people are doing different things and it's working for them. Perhaps I wasn't getting the success that I wanted and I wanted to optimize. I wanted to change. But my biggest obstacle in doing that, because I was so used to doing it this one way, in order to change it, I had to really overcome myself, just get out of my own way and just adapt, learn from other coaches, learn from other instructors, learn and see what they're doing that's working, and then apply that to my own practice and then see how other people respond to it. But if I just went the entire time and said, I'm just going to do this one thing and it's only what I like and this is all that I'm ever going to do, then I'm going to stay with the same results, and I should expect the same results, because if I keep doing the same thing consistently again and again and again, I shouldn't be expecting different results. I should be expecting the same results that I've always gotten. And this is a very, very typical problem with a lot of coaches, is the failure to adapt to certain environments, certain people, and then they just go and say, yeah, well, I don't really like coaching like that. And then I would go and say to them, do you not like to have a full class? And yeah, but I prefer to do it the way I want to do it, which is totally understandable. To each his own. Everyone should be able to do whatever they want. However, it goes to show that if you don't remove yourself out of, this prideful state where you can't optimize, or you say, I'm not going to, because you are so attached to this one way of doing it. And if you are going to try another thing, you might have to risk looking like a bit of a student again. You might have to risk looking like a novice again, even though the current routine you're very good at. If you try something else, you're not going to be that good at it. As well as having done this for the last 10 years, I recently just moved to Barcelona, Spain, where I had to change from doing these classes in English to Spanish. And I can't tell you how much resistance I had changing the language, doing this job that I felt I was really good at. I really do feel like I was really, really good at this job. But then having to change it into Spanish was incredibly difficult, even though I'm half Spanish and I can speak a little bit of Spanish. But to have to motivate in Spanish, to have to get people fired up in Spanish, the phrases I would say, I just didn't know if you could really say them in Spanish, and I would keep translating them in English. And I can't tell you guys how much resistance I had when I first started these classes, because it was like, imagine after 9 years, last year. Imagine after 9 years how good you feel you are at something. Like, you've done this for 9 years, and then you have to change it to another language, and now you don't feel like you're that good. You suddenly go from really like feeling like you're really good to feeling like, I'm not that good, I don't know what to do. But then it's a matter of spending enough time in that state of just like, it's fine. You're a student, just learn. Optimize. Whereas if I just attach my ego and my pride to it, I'm never going to change. I'm never going to learn a new language. I'm never going to meet different people. I'm never going to be able to connect with Spanish-speaking people only, even though they're like loads of fun, even though that's what makes up most of the population in this country, in this city. It's like, if I don't learn or if I don't optimize, then I just stay exactly the same. And so I have to realize that, failing, every time I failed, every time I said the wrong phrase in Spanish, every time I was failing at it, and I felt like I was really, really failing. I felt like I'm not getting this. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to move forward with this, because I just keep getting stuck. And I realize now, after doing it for a year, now it's much, much, much easier. I realize now that failing was just part of getting towards success. It's just part of it. It's not where it cuts off. It's not where success gets cut off. And then that's it. This is only if you're aiming for like perfectionist, I don't know, some perfection. But I even feel like being a perfectionist is just an excuse people say just so they don't have to optimize. So they don't actually have to get to changing themselves. They just say like, I'm a perfectionist. I'm not even going to start unless it's perfect. It's like, then they have a serious ego and pride problem. And so remember this, that failing is not just what we'll face. Failing is literally how you get there. Failing is how you get to success. If you don't fail, then you never know. And if you're not pushing your limits, then it's very unlikely that you're even going to find failure. And if you're not pushing your limits, then you should expect to stay the same for your entire life. And that's not what I want for you guys. I want you guys to keep growing, and I want you guys to keep pushing, and I want you guys to keep meeting your resistances, all the resistances that you have in your life, overcome them, and keep doing that every single day until you become the person that you want to become. So I hope this video helped you guys in understanding that failure is not the end. Failing is just how you get there. I will see you guys in the next video. Please like and subscribe.